Hello, this is a presentation based on the work from a couple of members of the Education Innovation team. We'll be plotting the journey of Johnny Owlcademic as he is introduced to technology at UE, technology that supports his own personal development. It outlines where we are, and it outlines also where we hope to be, or a suggestion of where we could be if we do this properly and think around the subject a bit. So what's it all about? Well, firstly, it's about work done by Husna Ahmed and Tom Buckley in the back end of 2018. It's about generally the proliferation of different methods of recording personal development at the university that are mandatory for academic members of staff, and actually getting towards a model where it's a little bit better supported than it is at the minute. If we start with the journey of Johnny Owlcademic, here he is without mortarboard. He is yet to be a educator at the university. He might have a professional career of some kind. He might have responsibilities to do CPD. He might have a regulatory body that expect a portfolio. This can contain paper certificates. It could have its own electronic system for managing data and information. That's depicted at the bottom by the icon of this suitcase full of just random stuff. So before UE, someone's got their own lives, their own way of storing things, and their own demands on their time by the regulatory body or career. So at this point in the timeline, Johnny Owlcademic joins the university. He is given access to Office 365 for documentation and teaching. Probably not that much instructions on how to use it. There are training courses available. There are packages that aren't really relevant to actually how we run Office 365 proffered to him, and every program team will use it differently and use it in a way that avoids using the S drive with many different complications on top of it. There'll also be encountering the ESS, the employee self-service, and the manager's portal from the other side. As they undergo their probation period, they'll use it for logging annual leave, and sooner rather than later they'll use it for the probation materials. There will be fields, there will be text boxes, there will be drop downs, there will be the ability to add evidence, there will be the ability to hyperlink content from the ESS to evidence probation completion. The ESS also packages in loads of different training courses to make sure it's easily evidenced by the Owlcademic as and when they've completed it, and a manager can pick it up. So it's a kind of multifunctional learning development platform that we can link to external content from, which is quite important. As it is, that's not been brought online, so we don't quite know how that looks and feels. But we definitely know there'll be some areas where you have to attach evidence, and there'll be some areas where you can link evidence from your other repositories. Johnny goes on to work during the probation. He books into training, which is recorded on the ESS that is hosted by UE. He goes to training either for his profession, such as a conference or a external body training session, and keeps either an electronic copy on OneDrive or a hard copy of a certificate he has for that kind of attendance. Hopefully during the first year he'll complete the probation period documentation on the ESS. There's another thing that gets thrown into the mix if they're an academic during this period, which is the PCAP, the Postgraduate Certificate in Academic Practice. Wherever that's hosted at the minute, it will be soon, I think it is now, containing various elements hosted on PebblePad. So that'll be a module of teaching, and then that'll be the apprentice-based framework around it. So it will be mandatory for a new teacher to use PebblePad within their learning. It'll also be mandatory to complete the HEA, I think I'm right in saying that. So actually, there'll be two uses of PebblePad that are mandatory for the academic before they've even got to use it in their learning and teaching. Two different experiences, and experiences where they will have to draw content from either their OneDrive repositories, from Office 365, They might want to draw down some certification from their ESS. They definitely will have to start gathering up together that evidence they have of previous learning will be stored in wherever they stored it before. And then ongoing, they will work. Johnny Owlcademic in his career will go on to work at the university, and at the minute, the way forward is that they'll have the ESS for probation documentation, PDR documentation, and it will start to be the site of loads of different evidencing of practice and evidencing of learning and development. But holistically, they've been introduced to these whole range of things at the bottom from their own stuff, so a kind of scatty introduction of Office 365, hosting of learning materials on, not learning materials, hosting of evidence on the ESS, and their own evidence that they've accrued through their learning using PebblePad as part of their career. Now this kind of presents loads of risks for the institution. There's loads of risks on introducing this technology without a good story behind it, and that's definitely something we've got in Office 365. There's loads of risks of not giving people a workflow to get their own older stuff into a managed repository, so it's not just bits of paper they can lose. There's risks to do with the ESS that someone far above me would have assessed already. And there's obviously risks of letting PebblePad be introduced without knowing the quality of which it's being introduced, and giving some pointers of how to draw these things together to make sure that they're integrated and thought of in the same breath, rather than little interventions all the way through that are never drawn together. The real risks are there's the duplication of documentation, problems with version control. Are you working on the right version of the document? Is someone else working on it? We've all had it where we've amended a document only to find out someone else has been working off a different version, and you lose a lot of the effort and work at that point. And there is a lot of rummaging around trying to find the resources that you want across multiple systems and multiple places. There's also an opportunity cost of what are we missing out on by not supporting this properly. What other things can you bring into these arenas quite easily, that if you don't think about it holistically, you'll miss out on the opportunity to do that. That can be skill development, that can be just the higher quality of evidence and reflection. So one thing that we haven't really thought about supporting and talking about is actually capturing content from the real world. We don't offer any support for that as an institution at the moment, and actually for learning development personally, it's really important. So we have systems that exist such as Office Lens, where you can grab a real world document, scan it in, and it will appear in your OneDrive in Word. You can scan in a certificate, it will appear in your OneDrive as an image. If you integrate PebblePad and OneDrive, you can then use that image of a certificate to evidence something in your PebblePad portfolio. So it goes in a couple of steps from the real world to being in your portfolio as evidence. We have the ability using Pebble Pocket to record practice. So you can upload videos, pictures, evidence from events that you've done, that you've run, and put it into your PebblePad portfolio. Again, you can do that the same into your OneDrive if that was your preference. But there are workflows to capture stuff from the real world, put it up in there in the cloud, and use it as evidence really quickly. That's the real opportunity cost that we're missing. The next opportunity that having a more integrated approach does is we can actually start supporting further integration with other tools at the university. So we know that we can put Kaltura and Panopto recordings into PebblePad, so you can do a teaching event, you can record it, you can have it peer reviewed quite easily, you can evidence it for later if you're particularly proud of it, or you can evidence it as something that you've achieved or done. So you've gone to a big conference and presented, you can record it and put it in really easily and in a supported way. So what I'm suggesting at the end of this is we're going about giving people the tools to do their own personal development in a slightly scatterbrain way. We are giving it loads of different things, loads of different approaches, but no structured guidance about how to make the most of this. What I would like to see is in this image on the screen right now, that when Johnny Owlcademic comes, there is some kind of structured program to do with supporting skills to get these repositories integrated, so your OneDrive appears in your PebblePad, and it's easy to get things from the real world into your OneDrive, real world into your PebblePad, and people have these skills and have a bit of knowledge about what they might want to do with it to further their education and development by evidencing in the other portals that we give people, be it their academic repositories, the career-based professional repositories, the ESS, and other PebblePad endeavors they might have. So we get the left side, or stage left side of this diagram right. If we support people to capture content, to manage content, and the skills needed to share permissions and hyperlinks to other systems, it makes evidencing on the other side a whole lot easier. Now, why is that important for me for digital learning? Surely this is learning development. Obviously, there's loads of skills on the left-hand side, stage left-hand side, that are really useful for us to have academics have. But also we're talking about, okay, what's important for an academic's digital capability? What are we actually already mandating that they do that we're not supporting properly? And what can we do to make a better first impression on people when they join and help them organise and harness that energy of the first couple of months better? So what I'm suggesting is really we try and look at how the organisation can support making a personal development ecology rather than supplying different learning events and hoping that it all sticks and is managed properly. Now, talking about skills that are involved to do this, below this video there is a document which outlines a lot of the skills that we think are needed to get to that stage of that having a personal development ecology. Now, it cuts across various different parts of the institution, and there's various different training that's already available that just needs to be drawn together, and some expectations that need to be set. But I just wanted to make this video as a kind of open note-taking to say this is what we've got to, this is what we think this is a good idea, and as an elevator pitch to say to you, the viewer, whether you're the executive, whether you're someone from outside the university, or whether someone in learning development within inside the university, that actually this is a missed opportunity, actually this is a skill set that needs to be supported, and actually it will have knock-on benefits for everyone if we actually address the requirements and the skills rather than different learning interventions at different stages. Hope this helped. Check out the document below. Any questions, email me or Husna on the email provided. Thank you very much.